The purpose of this channel is to not necessarily show the best way of doing something, it's to show a way of doing something. Things are moving along. That bar worked well. This is pretty good now. Some roughness there, but a little bit of picking with the rounded hammer will take care of that. And body fill has got to go over everything pretty much. It's all got to be skinned. So I've got some roughness through here, but the dents, there's a bit of a low spot here, but that's it. Everything else is popped out. You can see there's a oil canning there. I'll take care of. But the curvature is good. Angles are all good. There's a bit of a crease now I can see here, which I never saw before. So I'll take care of that, and that will probably help here. It might make this part worse, but we shall see. Anyway, getting closer and closer. So I've clamped it temporarily to the frame so things don't flex and I don't get misled. And I checked the frame previously on the truck and straightened out anything that was wrong with it so it fits nicely on the truck. So then that should make the hood fit nicely. Here goes. I know I keep saying this, but I think I'm going to leave it where it is. Put it back on the frame. I straightened out some of these ones over in the middle of the hood, both sides. The low spot here you can see. Hopefully you can see. So that may straighten on the frame, but I'm going to give it a little bit more hammering. The finishing touches I'm doing with this thin slapper and the shrinking hammer and flat and swiping blows. Here goes. Advantage to the flat portion of the slapper that you can see easily from the side where there's a low spot or a high spot. Let's go low through here. See if I can find a high spot so you can see what I'm actually doing. Little one right here. This is what I do. I hold it underneath fairly tightly, and then I swipe, making sure that the head stays flat. Just for little bits. That's what this is used for. Works better in fine adjustment. In the low spot. And more adjustment needed. Hopefully you can see that is much better than it was. A little bit low here yet, apparently. Yeah, no, not bad. This rises up here, that's why. Well, it's a pretty good curve. Hopefully when it's on the frame that will help to straighten it out a bit. You can see it'll tuck things down. So let's see how it fits on the frame. Hopefully you can see it. There's a dip in here, and there's a couple little dings, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. There's a bit of a dip. This is an area that has not previously been worked, so I'm not going to touch that because it's obviously getting pushed someplace else. And some of this comes out because there's going to be a foam padding put in between the frame and the hood to help it keep its arc, so it doesn't tin can all the time when you're going down the road. So there's a high spot here, and I think that's because this was previously damaged. So when I straightened this, I ended up with more distance in here, so that's making it bump up. And I think that has to do with this. So if I can get rid of that, I should be able to further reduce that. So let's start working on that part. Okay, the rise is gone. And virtually all of that is gone. Just like that. A little bit through here, you can see. Barely feel it. That's right where the foam pad will go, so I'm going to leave that. So let's put it on the frame. What I've done so far is to just hammer the edges down a little bit. Try and make sure that the frame is as tight to the hood as possible. Otherwise you're going to have problems with this seam. So like that. There's a little bit of difference there. I don't want to make it too tight in case I have to take it off again. So I'll do a little more just to make sure it gets tight, and then I will check the top side and see what it looks like. Okay. It's got a rise here now, but that's from the sawhorse. So you have to be real careful. I either use the flapper, push against and hold it up, and then use the shrinking hammer just to bend it over, because I don't want it to stretch, right? That's going to defeat the whole purpose and end up with big wrinkles all along. There's no reason we can't use a regular hammer, you just have to be careful. From my wealth of 5 minutes of experience. So that fits good across the front. To make it a little tighter, so it pulls the edges in, pulls everything tight, so then I get the true shape. The other side of the hood along here is good. It's got a good curvature both ways. It's smooth. Seems to be fine. Of course, that's the side that wasn't hit. This side, I have this persistent high spot. But now that it's on the frame, I can see there's a low spot here and a low spot here. So that's stretched and this is stretched. So if I can get rid of these two, I can probably pull this one out. But that means loosening it from the frame, lifting it, and so I'm going to be working with it twisted. The other thing is that now that it's on the frame, there's a bit of a high spot through here, but I'm not sure I'm going to worry about that. We'll see. And then this spot that was here, I'm going to push down on the corner and make it tight. It's virtually gone. Just a little bit in here. And I'm not sure I'm going to really worry about that either. We shall see. But this I don't like because that's wavy. And that has been a real problem all along. If I was really desperate, I would make a cut and then re-weld it. But then you get into other messes as well. So let's keep working on this. I may be an amateur, but I do have low standards. So I've beat this and hammered it, used the shrinking hammer, and it's got a good curve this way. It's got a little bit of a dip here, and I've worked, and that's it, no more. Same here. Filler is your friend, I guess. And if it's out a little bit, so be it. This one, it's got a good curve to it. Got a little bit of depression here and here, but not serious. And I can't hammer that one. Same thing here. Basically, that's it. Just filler now, and then finish crimping it around. I went through and I did it here, working back, holding it tight all the time. Should actually have done this side and then the far side, then the back, starting at the middle and working out, and the front, working at the middle and working out evenly. So that's what I did at the last, on the front of the hood. But basically it's got the shape it needs. I just have the roughness to fill. I've taken off the scratches from the shrinking hammer with 80 grit sandpaper. And now I'll just skin the whole thing. Get a move on. The other thing I should point out is that don't crimp it all at once. This is now the second time I've gone around and crimped it. And on the sides it's about 45 degrees. Same at the back. In the front, because it curves around, it's even with the floor pretty much. So then I will do some more, and then I'll do another one after that, and that should finish it off. So that I don't end up bending anything, putting flex on the hood that crimping it further will not get rid of. So do it in stages. Caution is better than speed. There we have it. First skin coat. Went on pretty good. Didn't notice any big dips anywhere. I used the heavy stuff. It's got fiber in it because a hood is flexible, and I just don't want things breaking out any fiberglass. So hopefully that'll hold everything in position, and then with the foam underneath padding everything, should be better. Here's another one here, but that'll take regular filler. So there's a skin coat. It's not thick anywhere, which is good. And I think there's even potential for this one. So I'm going to let it set up. And oh, look at the time. Coffee time. Actually, half an hour passed. Time flies. So let that dry, sand it off, and then fill the bits that are left. It seems to take me 4 or 5 times to get it right, but we'll see. This is the hood with a new skin. Actually, it's just high build filler, only because I had excess of it. Otherwise I would have used the regular stuff, but it is also a hood that flexes quite a bit, so it's good to have strong filler on it. Actually, I didn't mean to cover the whole thing, but I guess I just get carried away. There's a few bare spots, but other than that, it's all covered. So now to start the manual job of sanding. I'm going to use the long board because it's a flat surface, and I want to avoid dips as much as possible. This is the second coat, and I've have a skim coat to put on yet. Little low spots here and there, but I'm noticing a dip here. So before I go any further, I'm going to put wood wedges underneath, line this all up to where it needs to be, and then I'll put the foam in later. But if I keep sanding now, I'm just going to keep aggravating things. My experience with this kind of stuff is that if you don't have it supported and make assumptions it's fitting properly, it's just going to keep warping, and you'll get dips and bends all over the place. New ones will appear all the time. So before I go any further, this has to be braced, bring it into line, and then I can start seeing exactly where things have to be shaped. So I was running into a problem where the hood was tending to sag in some places because it wasn't being held in position. Previously there were big foam, injected foam along the structure of the frame that was holding the hood away from the frame. So I've looked for that material. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm going to try this, which is high density foam, building foam. This is for windows and doors. Great stuff. Oh yeah, great stuff. And this one is good because it's a little more dense than the others, and you can reuse it. I guess they've got 2 tubes down inside that tube, and it mixes at the nozzle. So you break off the end, and you might have to crimp it a little bit to clear it, but then it works again. So get that stuff. Anyway, hopefully it's strong enough. I can go through now and trim. It's setting up pretty good. So I go through and trim this, make it look a little neater, scrape off these pieces like that, and then flip it back over and start more sanding and filling in the opposite order. Problem with not getting something perfect, which I was unable to do, is that there's little ripples here and there. So what I'm doing now is I'm going over it and I'm looking for any spot that will show a ridge. And there's one right here. You can feel the slightly rises up. So I take this hammer, it's rounded, and I just tap it repeatedly where I want it to lower. And if there's any doubt, you can always just use a straight edge and rock it across. You can see a little bit of a high spot there. And it feels like, yeah, there's a bit of a dent rise right here, just like a little, as if somebody hit it with a nail or something. Just tap it lightly and repeatedly until it's slightly recessed. And ideally, I think thousandths of an inch as opposed to fractions of an inch. Like rise in here as well. If I need a fine point, okay, slight rise right there. Okay, that's slightly recessed now. A little bit more right there. Light and fast. A low point there. Do that. High point here. When I tap on this, it will have an effect on this. Either this will go lower, or because it's on an edge, it might spring up. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not a pro. Okay, that looks good. Just a slight gap down, right across. So this went a little bit lower here. That would feel okay. Very slight rise right there. Make a little circle there. That should be good. I think this one's all right. Yeah. So I went over it again with fine fill. And I sanded it all off. Got the contour as good as I could. Then I went and I found any little nicks or low spots. I used a pencil, marked them out, and then filled them again. So this is still setting up. It's not ready to be sanded yet. So if you watch the angle, it's pretty consistent all the way along. So that part's good. So this is rolling off at the same. It's the same across here, and here, here, and here. And then likewise down here. Hood has a crown and then goes down slightly. And I don't know if that's normal or not, but it's doing it on both sides. So I'm going to accept that. And then I check through here as well. I've got the same angle. So it's all starting to look like it should actually be good. It's more of a roll in the middle, so that could be a problem, but also when it comes down on the truck, it may actually get pushed into position, so we'll see what that does. So there it is, fill number 4, I think. I've lost count, but this one is just little bits, so this shouldn't take nearly as long to sand down. Probably took me about an hour and a half hand sanding. So I'll contour this with the sander once it's set up, and then I'll probably take it to, well, 220 at least. Been using 120 for the rough. I may go as high as 400. And paint it and see what we get. It'll have a fairly thick fill on it, so, or primer rather. And then I will sand that down. Probably another coat of primer after that. And then paint it black, find all the ripples, and say red's better. That's it for now. So I've had the pencil out. Good news is, getting less and less where I have to fill. Or is it just because my standards are going down? Maybe my eyesight is going. But I've marked here, there, and everywhere where I have to do a little more fill. I've tapped things down again. So progress, sorta, kinda. And then when it's black, everything will show up. And then I'll just have to take my glasses off and walk away. Do some more filling tomorrow. Got company coming. They have to walk through the shop and it stinks like crazy. So leave it unfiberglassed Till tomorrow. Okay, last application. I have a strong sense of deja vu. I said that before. So I've applied, found the low spots here and there. So I've put on the filler. I've got this really coarse 60 grit paper on a longboard. You have to be careful. Don't feather it out. You're not aiming for feathering. It's going to leave big scratches. Leave some lip where possible. Feel the contour a little bit high in here. Likewise, all the other spots. Care is important. Like that. Two-handed is easier, but you know how it goes. This has a big lip there. This one I haven't done yet. Not high pressure. 30, 45 degrees. Go to 120 next. Never being one to learn quickly, I have kept going. So I just wanted to, this is it, honest. I just wanted to point out that when sanding with coarse paper, I'm using 120 at the moment, don't feather it right out, because you won't get rid of the scratches and then you'll have chances of getting a dip increase. So now I'll go to 220. There's just a little bit of rise there and a little bit of rise there through there. This is pretty much level. That's just almost like a dusting. And then a bit more here. You can see it's starting to show bare metal and it's dipping down. So I can't go any further there. Just have to smooth that out. Likewise. Well, good news is I keep getting less spots, I feel. But I've had it. This is it. Gets painted, goes on the way it is. Life is full of disappointments. So I painted black and I've scuffed the surface just to show highs and lows and runs and dust and areas that I didn't clean well enough, like right there. All in all, not great. In fact, I might say it's a failure. So those little spots there, apparently where the paint didn't cover. You can see a run through there. Not to worry about those, they'll sand out pretty easily. Across here. Scuff them all up, and then you can see dust, which is hard to get away from painting in a garage. I tried a little experiment. I got tired of the spots that were high and the metal was getting filed off. And I could never cover them up. So what I've done is I just sprayed fairly thick primer on the edges of each one, sanded it down. This one, if I go anymore, I'm going to expose the metal, so that one I'm going to leave for the moment. But all the others seem to be much better, so we'll see when I actually paint it. Everything seems to be okay. This has got a mark on it because once again I rushed it. The paint wasn't quite dry, so pulled a piece out of it. I'll have to do that again, but that can be touched up later. Let's see what happens. This is where I've given up. Looks way better than it did. Far from perfect, but way better. You can see I can do some sanding in here, but not sure I will. Just give up. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.